Hello and welcome back to my channel. And I'm Pavel, in case you don't know, and I'm an anthropologist who has cracked fitness. And now that I've cracked it, and the truth about it is all around my channel, and also as a course for Buy Me a Coffee members, I thought I would use these videos as a reminder that you should be doing something. So, as you're watching this, please do some exercise, like maybe a horse stance, or maybe a plank, or maybe, if you can remember the moves of Radio Taiso, or maybe try a few isometrics, or an Asian squat. The point is not to be the passive consumer, to be someone who's doing things. Now, I want to talk today about restraint, which is something sorely lacking in fitness these days. And I want to share personal stories of how I overdid things, even as I was already aware of my own DSY principle, which means it stands for don't shit yourself. And that is really the core principle behind my course and behind my, well, let's call it Sendyka method, because why not? And that is really the crux of the matter, that we don't learn when we hear something that's just so true, and we go like, oh, this is gonna change our lives, and I'm gonna live by this rule. Unfortunately, that's not how the human brain works, and we have to repeat and repeat what we've learned for us to really to be able to get it and internalize it and remember it and act upon it, which is incidentally why religions have been such a success, because they remind you on a weekly basis and sometimes at certain points in the year about certain things. Now, I'm going to remind you not to shit yourself. And by the way, if you like this channel, please like, comment, subscribe, consider becoming a member on Buy Me a Coffee, where the awesome perk, which is the course based on all the principles that I'm talking about. Yes, I'm slow jogging, and I should be able to carry on a conversation. And I think I need to slow down a little bit. Alright, so today's topic, restraint. You know, there is one exception, sort of, to the DSY rule, which is getting away with the least that you can to really help your body boost your capacity. And I call this sprints, but they can be anything. They can be the actual sprints, but then you have to really be careful about your surroundings, and that it is a safe place to sprint. Or it can be, you can do it on a stationary bike, or you can do something else that you can do all out. Alright, so reading about these things, I have eventually cut down things that have been designed and researched on young men, like the Tabata protocol, which is punishing 20 seconds intervals followed by 10 seconds of rest, repeated 8 times. So it takes 4 minutes and then you're done. And then that sounds great, because 4 minutes doesn't sound like a lot. But if you're really doing it all out, then it is a lot. And I think it's too much. And I have looked into other research on the topic, and I've cut them down. I've cut those sessions down to just 2. Now, the trick is for them to be all out. So, I was doing them all out, and let the car pass. I was doing them all out. However, and they work great, and they caused great improvement in my strength and stamina at the end of the day, where I would usually be quite tired and hardly moving, and the effort of coming back home from the city would be, I would feel exhausted, and I would not want to do it, but I would have to, because I wanted to get home. And after doing these, I realized that there is spring in my step at the end of the day. So this was great. However, with things that go great, there's always the temptation to do more. Now, so that's what I did. I started adding weight in a backpack, and I started filling up bottles with water. And then at first it was just 2 liters, then it was 4, then it was 6. You see where this is going? Now, you gotta remember, yes, you gotta overload yourself, but at some point, you're gonna reach a point where that's it. That's your maximum capacity. That's the best you can do. You cannot improve forever. Do you know what I mean? So, obviously, I overdid this. And here is how. I packed, eventually, 10 liters of water in my backpack, and I sprinted uphill, because that's the first step of adding load. I first sprinted uphill, and then I started adding weight when that was, in my opinion, not enough. So in the end, I sprinted uphill with a lot of extra weight, and at the end of that second sprint, I felt really weak. Since it was uphill, I just took my backpack off and I put it by the side of the road, because I felt that if I'm going to walk back with this heavy backpack, I don't know, I might just fall or something, or faint. So I feel that I clearly overdid it. I came back to my scooter, parked along actually this road, and I took it up to where the backpack was, and I put it on the scooter and got back. Now I felt really not so great for the rest of the day. This was probably coupled by the fact that I have also watched some upsetting YouTube thumbnails. I felt really awful, and I thought maybe I was afraid I might even have done something to myself. I kind of played a conversation in my head that I would need to have with a doctor if I went to a hospital, and it's like, what did you do? Well, I sprinted much faster than maybe I should have, with much more weight than I should have, and then I watched some upsetting YouTube thumbnails, and an upsetting YouTube video. Anyway, I was fine the next morning, but I would not recommend anyone doing something like that. I think when it comes to, this maximum all-out effort, one thing to remember is it has all been researched pretty much, mostly on young men in their prime and sometimes on Olympic athletes. So that's one thing. And the other thing is, I believe there is 100% and there is 110%. Now, this is what my experiences have led me to think. Think of it as a car. It's got a RPM meter, revolutions per minute, and then it's healthy to go like up to, I don't know, don't remember, depending on the car, 7,000 RPM. And then if you go to the zone where it's 8, it's in the red. So I think with the max effort, there is a thing that would be regular max effort, and then there will be the thing that's above maximum effort. I think that's there's an idiom in Polish about work that is above one's capabilities, and that's what in the old days, working on the farm, working on the fields, would be something that would cause people an early death. So, let's learn from the old folks and our ancestors, and don't do stuff that's too much. Now, the other story where I went experimenting with a sprint was when I sprinted after just having a cold dip in the Mediterranean in Italy in February. So I was just frozen like an icicle, and then I was coming back to my lodging, and then I realized I got an empty stretch of road here, so and it's safe to do it. And I wondered, is this a good idea? My body is so cold. If I'm gonna race, then it's gonna mean that all that blood, the cold blood from my extremities, is gonna come back to my heart, and is that gonna be good for my heart? Now, I was too adventurous, and I did it because I was curious, and there was an opportunity, and we got this saying that what doesn't break you makes you stronger. Now, of course, you have to remember that whatever makes you stronger, and whatever's too much breaks you. So, it was a very unpleasant experience. My heart literally hurt, and again, I got scared. And I thought, well, that's another thing I'm never doing again. Right. So those are my stories of stupidity. The kind of stupidity that I hope you will avoid in your fitness pursuit. I hope you will stay within the safe limits, within their best functioning parameters, and don't go crazy in some very big cold, or when you're dehydrated, or just tell that little devil that whispers, it'll make you stronger, see what your limits are. Tell him that that's good for the Olympic athletes. They are getting paid for crushing limits. And us, we just want to live our life, and not have it cut short. Well, the reason also while I'm doing these videos is that I am hoping for a bit of discussion. So drop down the comments below. Also, you can go to my website and check out the articles there, and also comment there, or write me an email with your thoughts on overdoing it and anything else fitness related for people with brains, for people who are not buying into the fitness industry bullshit. All right, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.